When you say unattended market, what does that mean exactly in some specific language?
That means, I mean, let's take access to finance, for example. People who are excluded from access to financial services.
And who would these people be?
These would be generally very poor people, often in rural but also semi-urban or peri-urban areas, who are discriminated against or excluded on the base of physical location, on the base of literacy, on the base of inadequate physical records, on the basis of lack of land holdings, tenure, assets, collateral, on the basis of gender. And so
So for example, peasants in Peru or
peasants
Guatemala
in Peru,
or
people,
Guatemala or
yes, or for example,
Sudan.
outside of Phnom Penh in Cambodia, you have a vertiginous drop-off in rates of access to finance because there are physically no branches there, and depending on how that oscillates with mobile telephony, you either will or may not be hooked up to a financial institution. Take some of the investments that I've made in the past, where we've invested in financial institutions that are aiming to provide additional services to the poor, both in volume and type. So not just access to basic loans, but also perhaps health insurance, micro insurance more generally, crop disaster insurance. I believe that there you have, to go back to your language, perhaps that capitalist impulse. The investors in the fund that made that investment are looking for a return. But we're also achieving enormous social good, are we not? And potentially environmental good when we get into agricultural finance by extending financial services to these previously excluded groups. So I think, if I may say, the way that you set up the question is quite provocative, which is great. But I would challenge some of the. I hear sort of Marx underneath that, screaming from his grave.